I'm going to give you an overview of the growth habit of okra. I have been familiar with growing okra since I was 14 years old. This is our okra patch right here. All right, I'm not going to go into all the details. First of all, if you're curious about how we use the different sizes of okra, I will have a link to that video in the description box below. All right, so for this one, I'm not quite sure where I want to start. It is in the evening right now, so the sun's going down, so I hope the lighting is okay. Okra has a strong, thick trunk. Okay, I cannot get my fingers to touch here. All right, so some okra, and all the okra I'm growing is the exact same variety. And I've always grown the same variety, Clemson Spineless 80. It's my absolute favorite. Anyhow, so some okra will just grow a straight trunk, and that is it. Some okra, sometimes it'll branch out, like this one. And there's another branch. Okay? So, let's step back here. You can see it just branches out, or it can. And then each branch right here can branch out again, which can branch out again. Okay, so see, here's a branch, and it can branch out here. And it's branched out over there. Okay, so you get the idea. Another way that it can grow is right here. You can see this one is just a straight stalk all the way up. Okay? Now, regardless if it branches or it's a straight stalk, okra will grow alongside the trunk. Okay? So all of these, they're brown now, but this is where the okra pods were, and obviously we cut them off. Right below the okra pods is where the leaf was attached. Okay, so let me find you one I can actually reach. This one right here is on a branch of that one down there. Okay, so this one is branched out. Now, this is how they grow. So the okra pods grow alongside the main trunk or any of the branching trunks. These are unopened flower buds, they're not even ready yet. So here's a flower bud. It already opened for the day. So if it was pollinated, then it will start to produce an okra, a little okra pod. And this is what they look like when they're really small right here. And then they get bigger. You can see here. And then they continue to grow. If you leave them on the plant too long, they will just get really large, and I let those stay on for my seed okra. But back to how the okra actually grows on the stalk. Okay, so just below each okra pod is a leaf. See that leaf right there? Okay, so what we do, back to this one over here, so this is where an okra pod was, and right here, just below it, right there, that's where a leaf was. Okay, so what we do is whenever we cut the okra off, we also cut the leaf off as well. If you don't cut the leaves off, so cutting the leaves off is a form of pruning. If you decide not to cut the leaves off, in our experience, the leaves, they will just eventually dry up, turn brown, and they'll fall off on their own. The way that I look at it is the job of this leaf here is to feed this one pod. So whenever the pod is harvested, the leaf is no longer any good, so you can just cut it off or it'll just naturally fall off on its own. Sometimes whenever you cut them off or they naturally fall off on their own, sometimes, but not every time, but sometimes they will go ahead and, so like the leaves, so right here, this was a leaf right there. So sometimes they will go ahead and they will branch right there in where that leaf was. Okay, so that's what this one is here. So here we have the trunk, the main one right here. Okay, and it just keeps going. And here is where it branched off after that one leaf was done. And it goes up there. Anyhow, so they can and do sometimes branch off. They don't always branch off though. As far as how tall they get, they can get really tall. The ones right here, now I mean they still have growing to do. And you can see all those pruned parts. These still have plenty of time to grow more. They'll continue growing for probably another month, month and a half until we get our frost or until it turns cold. Now okra, they need very hot and pretty dry climate, and they will just produce a bumper crop. But currently, these here that you see, it's probably 9 foot tall right there. Okay, and they still grow. I had a friend at church. I gave some seeds to her the year before last. No, last year, and she said they had to get a ladder. But that's just how it is. Now, what you can do if they do get too tall for you and you don't want to get a ladder or a step stool, you can go ahead and just prune, just top it if you want. They also say, so they do say that if you top the okra and prune it, that it will make it more bushy down below. I have not found that to be true. I don't know. I always just let our okra go and grow and do its thing. But this year, I actually did have to top one because I forget why, but there was a reason. Anyway, maybe it broke. I don't know. But I topped it right here, and this has been, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and every day I check it, and it has not added any new growth down of it at all. Okay? I mean, like this new growth here, right there, that's no different than all the other ones that are not topped. You can see right here, there's new growth there, and this one has not been topped. Oh. Okay, so I personally have not noticed that, but then again, I don't ever top mine. I just had to this one time a couple weeks ago, and it was just that one right there. If your okra is growing straight, just like if you've pruned it to where it's just a straight stalk, then the only places you have to look for okra is up the top. Okay, so once, like this stalk right here, this one, you can see the okra is up there and it's just going to keep going, but no more okra will be produced on this stalk. It just will not happen. But what can happen is it can send out new side shoots, side branches if it wants. So like right here, the same stalk I just showed you, right here, you can see it sent out a new shoot. So as this one matures, you can see there's some little flower buds. As this one matures and branches out, we will have okra on this side stalk. Okay, but once you actually harvest on the stalk, the okra will only continue growing up. It will never grow back down on the main stalk. Now I'm going to go and show you that last row over there. It is more bushy, and that is because it is a newer row. It's about 3 weeks younger than these 3 rows. So I have a total of 4 rows, and I think I only have planted about 24 to 28 okra plants. It's only been consistently producing okra for about 4, 5, or maybe 6 weeks by now. Maybe. I'm really thinking 4 or 5 weeks is more accurate. But in just that short amount of time, I have already canned for a family of 4, our entire year's worth of pickled okra. We are eating steamed okra several nights a week. We have bagged up and frozen a few gallons of cut okra. Again, that's all in another video. So, and this is still going to be producing for another 4 to 6 weeks. So once the weather is right and the temperatures are right and it's dry enough, okra will just you know, really take over. Now, let's go ahead and show you this row here so you can see a bit more of the bushiness. Okay? So, all right, so you can see that it can just kind of branch out and, you know, get short. Now, if there's enough time in the season, it will definitely get taller like those. But right now, this is what it's like. So, you have the main stalk right there, and then each branch, okay? And then at each branch, there will be okra. So right here, so like I said earlier, these are all flower buds. This one here is also a flower bud, and it is just now starting to show some yellow. So probably in a couple days, it will open up. Okay, so whenever they are short and bushy like this, it is so easy to miss the okra because it's just easy to lose it. That's why we personally like to prune off the leaves after we cut them. That way it's easier to find the okra. You can see that we missed cutting these leaves right here. I just harvested okra, like right before I started filming this. I just harvested the okra. Anyway, and I forgot, I guess I missed these leaves. Okay. All right, but you can see on this one bushy plant here, not only do we have the okra at the top, because you can see we've been harvesting it, we also have the side branches. So here's a section we gotta check. Here's a branch we gotta check. Here's one. And this one here also goes for this one plant. That one too. And that one. And I think that's it. Okay. Now, if you do let it go ahead and branch out, you probably will get more okra, at least for a time. You know, you probably will get more okra pods than if you let it just be a straight stalk. But that's just something, you know, you have to take into consideration and see what you want to do. Because when they are younger, if you plant them close together, I think mine are about 3 feet apart. It is like a jungle, and you know, you do kind of have to work your way through. But as they grow taller and you prune, you can see that you start opening up the walkway, and we just let the leaves just drop on the ground. Okay, so one more thing to know about okra. Actually, as far as the nutrition and the medicinal benefits of it, why don't you check that out? It's a really good food, healthy food. It just has a lot of really good properties. But one thing you should know is that the little fuzz on the pods, and then as well as like the little hairs on the pods and the stalk, and then the leaves, they can kind of make a person rash up and itch really bad. It does that to me, but for me, I just deal with it, and then when I'm done with the okra and I get them all cut, then I go in the house and I scrub my arms with soap, and then I'm perfectly fine. But I just wanted to let you know that, because that's really common. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that it helped you better understand the growth habit of okra.